Hey guys, so I am super excited because I get to finally finish my embroidery packs. I did one tester here and ignore the glare, but I think this looks super cool. And then on the back it has all the instructions and I am just gonna package them with y'all and yap a little bit because I have about a week actually until my first market. And I am excited, but I'm also a little bit nervous because I am testing out a lot of products that I haven't in the past. And that means I am sort of stuck in a position where I want to make more inventory, but I don't know what to make because I feel like I'm not too sure where to invest my time and money. Also, ignore my hair. I have not been doing my hair much. I typically don't even do my hair during the week because whenever I go to work, I just wear a hat. So I just don't worry about it. But besides that, where were we? I lost my train of thought. I do it a lot, but I feel like there's a few things I still gotta get. I know I need to get a money box for, in-person shows just because I have a habit of just keeping it in an envelope, which is fine when you're first starting out. But like, I don't want to take all of my money with me to the bathroom, and I also don't feel comfortable just leaving it around, so a money box is clearly the next step I would do. I will probably look for a money box that is pink or brightly colored, just because if anyone decides to get, bold and take it, that it will be very easily identifiable. I will also be putting my business card in the money box as well. I'm typically not paranoid, and I've never had like bad experience at a show to warrant that kind of prep. Some of the shows that I'm going to, or some of the places I'll be vending at, aren't actual shows. They're more so of like spring festivals. And so it's not like my usual crowd of people who are looking to buy handmade goods. They're mostly people who are just, going for a good time, probably out with their family, or, this, like, the two markets that I have in Waxhaw, one of them is a spring festival, the other one is another spring festival, but with beer. And so I am hoping to not be alone with that one, but chances are I might be, and that's okay. I am hoping to do good enough at the show next weekend to where I could finally order my tent, my canopy tent for my outside shows. This first one's inside, or it's indoors, so that's not much of a problem. Where was I going? Yeah, no, I am just doing my normal stuff. I have been editing a YouTube video, and then I've honestly, I spent all day editing because I finished editing it, and then I found out a new feature that would immensely speed up my process. And so I tried to apply that to like some of the clips to see how effective it was, and then it ruined the whole video. Somehow my audio got messed up and I just couldn't fix it, so I had to completely redo it. So that's a bummer, but with me being this early on, I think it made for good practice of getting used to that new feature, because it in fact made things a lot easier once I sort of got the hang of what I was doing. So I'm anticipating that my fourth or fifth video, I should be getting faster editing and uploading and doing all that jazz. This video that I'm working on now on editing is, I think it's over 30 minutes long. So it is definitely a video that you would want to sit down and watch, work with me. I'm still trying to pick out music or like go for what kind of vibe I want to go for. But okay, so I have put them all in here. As you can tell, there's a little bit of like space, but that's okay. Because once I close these flaps up and do a little shaky shake, this will settle at the bottom and then the header will be visible. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. I'm gonna pull up my trash can over here. And so another thing that I've been doing is I have been trying to stay on top of my studio. And when I say studio, I say that very loosely. It is my bedroom. I really don't like my hair. I feel like I'm about to pause this and go put on a hat. I'll be right back, guys. All right, I'm doing the number one man thing, and I am covering up my hair with a hat. It says "Be kind," because there's nothing sexier than kindness. So come on, come on, come on. There you go. Look at it. Beautiful. I think in future packs I might increase the size just a little bit, but so far I'm really happy with how these are turning out. The prints are really good. I am extremely happy with the quality, and they're double-sided, because when I was testing these out, I was basically printing them on copy paper and then just cutting them out and just going from there. But yeah, I am on my third or fourth cup of coffee. I don't know, I might be addicted to caffeine. It would make sense. But I am excited for the shows this year just because I have been a lot more organized than I have in the past in regards to just how I'm handling things. And then on top of that, it's the end of the month, which means one, I gotta pay my rent. Boo, landlords. And then two, that means I also have to update my financial trackers. I also got an order on Etsy last night, and so that was really cool because like I was getting home from work and I saw that on my app. It's like, oh, that's so nice. And so I will be showing y'all how I package those orders, just because I put a lot of effort into my Etsy packaging, because I really used to love Etsy back when it was an actual handmade place, or like a legitimate, like no AI, no drop shipping, just like, you know, handmade and vintage items. And you know, but I am disappointed with how Etsy is now. The platform isn't something that I would say that I'm proud of, but at this point it drives me majority of my sales online, just because of one, I am extremely bad at marketing and social media management. I can do TikTok, but only because I get more interaction with that. Before I started posting my sewing on TikTok, I had like 300 followers from back when I used to do a lot of drawing and paintings. And I basically just used that momentum to push my sewing forward. And then, so I started from 300 at that point, and then now I think I'm up to 850. And so that made it significantly easier. However, my Instagram, which is Pro and Fern, isn't as popular, isn't as active, I guess. Because this is gonna sound weird. Instagram is just too easy, and because it's too easy, it is too boring in my mind. And let me clarify what I mean is, when I make videos for TikTok, I have to put in the effort to think about how I'm going to frame my shot, how I'm going to, you know, record, what I want to say. And then, you know, you got to do your editing, and you got to do like all the other jazz. And then of course, you know, write your descriptions, write your hashtags, whatever. But with Instagram, unless you're doing reels or, you know, just doing stories that are videos, all you really do is point and shoot, you know, take a picture, or, you know, I don't really edit any of my photos, just because of when you're taking pics of products, you want to make sure that you have good lighting, so you don't really need all that, you know, those fancy fun filters. And so because most of my lighting is relatively decent, I just never have any reason to put in a lot of effort or a lot of creativity into my Instagram. And because it lacks so much like mental stimulus, my brain perceives it as boring or uninteresting. And because I lack any interaction on Instagram, I don't have any reason to check it. And because I don't check it, and because I typically don't even use Instagram, it very often just goes to the back burner. So when working on YouTube, or working on, you know, my YouTube, I'm thinking that it's gonna go a little bit easier in terms of managing it, just because of I actually have to think about what I want to do and what I want to say, and I have to, you know, put in more effort. I have to actively consider it, and there's honestly a lot more potential for growth and a lot more avenues to get to where I want to be in my life, in terms of potentially getting monetization or potentially collaborating with like other artists in the field, or just like that kind of general stuff. I think everybody who starts out on YouTube basically wants very similar things, regardless of what their niche is, and that is to just do what they love and pay bills with it. And I have a lot of feelings about people who monetize their hobbies, or people who do side hustles. And there's nothing wrong with side hustles, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not shaming anybody. I'm really bad at like trying to explain what I mean. It's like, so many people don't do hobbies because they feel like they have to be good at it, and people who do hobbies get told that they should monetize it. And I just feel like we're in this culture where perpetually we are making work out of everything, and that it's hard to enjoy something without the pressure of trying to earn money from it, which is a little bit hypocritical given the case that I am sewing. I started sewing as a hobby, and I am now trying to make a living out of sewing, but I'm not doing, like, I genuinely do love sewing and the creative process of everything regarding this hobby, and I would much rather put in time and effort and money into creating things and making things one of a kind, and I would rather do that than work a 9 to 5. But it's also like, I want to be very clear with, you don't have to be good at your hobby to justify it, because like, regarding my last video, or the video that I'm going to be posting that y'all guys will probably see, is with those coffin bags, and they flopped, and I was really heartbroken about it. But at the same time, like, if I don't enjoy the process, if I don't like actively enjoy what I'm doing, it's not going to get made. And when running a small business or just your own business, there's going to be tasks that you have to do that you can't get away from, and that's just part of running a business. However, if there's a process that you have to go through that you absolutely hate and loathe and despise, that task is never going to be done. And if that task is the foundation of your business, that business is going to suffer, and you should probably find something else to do. And so with my sewing machine causing me so much anxiety, I'm not going to force myself to be miserable when I am doing all this because I love sewing. So instead of trying to force something to work that's no longer working, I would rather just change and adapt and figure out what's causing this issue with my sewing machine, rather than trying to unnecessarily push through when I could be doing more harm than good. But this yap session's a little bit everywhere, and I apologize I had to show off my awful hair to y'all. How you'll ever survive. Okay, so I got all these bagged and tagged, and so now I am going to shake them down and organize them. I really love how these turned out. I was really nervous about the cardstock not fitting, or just fitting issues in general. I was really worried about that because I didn't want to like bulk buy something and then have it not work. And then this is a lot harder than I thought it'd be. Oh my god, never mind. I'm dumb. I just gotta tap it. Damn it, where was I going with this? Because it's like, you have some people who want to make a small business out of something when they're not passionate about it, or they have no passions, they just want the money. And that just seems very pointless to me, because small businesses take a whole lot of effort, because you're just constantly doing stuff. I mean, consider this. I can't buy groceries with my sewing money. I think just this month, I barely passed $200 in sales. And part of that is because I have some coworkers who are very kind and very supportive of my endeavors. And I think I only got like 2 sales on Etsy, which honestly is a whole lot better than no sales. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful. But even with how small I am, I still have to put in a lot of work and a lot of effort. Like, I wake up at 8, I get up, I make my coffee, and then I start doing stuff specifically for Crow and Fern. I cut fabric, I cut out patterns that I need to do, I draw designs, I order stuff, I update my inventory sheets, I do all that organization stuff that I posted about, I try and film and record content, I watch videos about how to improve and things that I might want to do in the future, and just a bunch of research, and then I go to work. So my typical schedule, wake up at 8, have lunch at like 12:55, go to work at 2:30, and then from 2:30 to 11:30, I'm at my full-time job. I come home, I take a shower. And this is Vincent. Vincent, say hello. Come here, baby. Little fat booty man. This is Vincent, my dearly beloved. Yeah, my dearly beloved. But yeah, no. So like after work, I get home, take a shower, and then after that, from probably around 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. I do stuff for Crow and Fern. I edit videos now that I'm doing YouTube. I package orders. I do selling. I cut interfacing. I pick anything that you can think of, I do. And because I'm doing all this stuff, if something doesn't have my immediate attention or something's not interesting enough, I won't do it, which is why my Instagram sort of slacks, because I just have no motivation. I have no intrinsic or extrinsic value to post and to be consistent. And so it goes undone. I honestly wish that I could just make enough money to where I can pay my bills and then also pay someone to post on Instagram for me. But it's also like, when you think about it, it's like, oh, it's so easy to post on Instagram. It's like, okay, cool. But it's hard for me, And people sometimes just don't understand that just because something is easy for you doesn't mean that it's easy for someone else. And that just really gets on my nerves, because it's like, how can you be so stuck in your own point of view that you can't hardly imagine that someone might actually struggle? I've been really everywhere with this, but I appreciate y'all for watching my YouTube and hanging around and just listening to me yap. And let me show you the final products. I will be having these stick and stitch templates at my craft shows. I will also have them up on my Etsy. And then there's a local quilt shop that I go to, and one of the owners bought one of my packs. And this is before I got like the actual backing, so it was like a prototype basically. And he bought it, and that was super sweet. And I am talking with the other owner to see if I can figure something out with her where I can, sell my product at her store. But I haven't heard anything back, and I would completely understand if the answer was no. So I'm not too worried about it, especially since, like, again, I have markets and I have my Etsy. But it would just be nice to, see like my handmade stuff in an actual retail store, even if it is like locally owned, and it's like obviously not Michael's. But yeah, no, bottom line is, or I guess like what I'm trying to get at is, if you like to do something, just do it. You don't have to be good. You just have to enjoy the process. And if you enjoy the process enough, you're going to get better. And then if you get to the point where you feel like you want to make a business out of it, go for it. Like, one of the best things about me starting YouTube now is because I have zero follow. Well, I think I have like 4 or 5 subscribers on here, which is great. But because I'm basically just talking to the void, I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm allowed to fail. And failing is good, because failing means that I get to learn. And even though I've spent literally all day editing a single YouTube video, I have learned a whole lot more as compared to if I never even bothered to do it at all. So never be afraid to fail. It's always good to learn. But yeah, bye guys.